A new phone sits behind the glass with a price tag of $1,200. That number feels heavy, maybe too heavy. Then, just below it, another number appears. 12 payments of $100. Suddenly, the same phone feels different. Nothing about the phone changed. The screen is the same. The camera is the same. The total price is still $1,200. And yet $100 a month somehow sounds much easier to accept than $1,200 today. Now imagine another version. Instead of seeing $1,200, you see only $329 a day. At that point, your brain may stop comparing the purchase to other expensive electronics and start comparing it to lunch, coffee, or a few small everyday expenses. The product did not become cheaper, but it can begin to feel cheaper. And that creates a strange question. Why can changing the way a price is divided completely change the way we react to it? Suppose two stores sell exactly the same television. Store A displays $1,800. Store B displays 18 monthly payments of $100. If there are no additional charges, the financial cost is identical. But the psychological experience is not. The first store forces you to confront the entire purchase at once. The second lets you look at only a small piece of it. That difference seems trivial. It isn't. Because when we judge whether something feels affordable, we do not always analyze money like a spreadsheet. We simplify. We compare. We focus on the number that is easiest to process, and sometimes the number directly in front of us becomes more important than the total hiding behind it. But this does not mean installment payments are automatically bad. Dividing a payment can be completely reasonable. It can help with cash flow, allow someone to keep money available for other expenses, or make a necessary purchase manageable without paying everything at once. The interesting part is not that installments exist. The interesting part is what happens to our perception when a large number is broken into smaller ones. Because the brain does not experience one payment of $1,200 in exactly the same way as 12 payments of $100. And the first reason is surprisingly simple. Large numbers create stronger resistance. Imagine buying a laptop. You see the full price, $2,400. Your mind immediately begins making comparisons. That could cover rent. That could pay several utility bills. That could stay in savings. That could buy many other things. A large price naturally competes with other large uses of money. Now change the presentation. 24 payments of $100. The comparison changes. Instead of asking, is this laptop worth $2,400? You may begin asking, can I handle $100 a month? Those are not the same question. One evaluates the value of the entire product. The other evaluates whether the next payment fits into your monthly budget. And this is where things become more interesting. A product can pass the second test while failing the first. You may decide that $100 a month is manageable, even though if the entire $2,400 were placed in front of you, you would never choose to spend that much. The purchase has not become cheaper. The decision has become smaller. But that is only the first layer. There is another effect. Installments separate the pleasure of buying from much of the pain of paying. Think about paying cash for an expensive dinner. When the bill arrives, the cost is immediate. The meal and the payment happen close together. Now imagine paying for a product over 1 or 2 years. The excitement happens today. You open the box today. You use the product today. You enjoy the upgrade today. But much of the cost belongs to future versions of you. Next month. 6 months from now. Maybe next year. That separation matters because future expenses can feel less vivid than immediate ones. Today you can see the new television. You can imagine the larger screen in your living room. You can picture the game, movie, or series you will watch tonight. The payment due 8 months from now is harder to feel. It exists mathematically, but emotionally it is far away, and there is an important difference between understanding a future cost and feeling a future cost. That gap can make an expensive decision seem surprisingly comfortable in the moment. But now a new problem appears. If one installment feels small, several installments can also feel small individually. Imagine your monthly payments look like this: $80 for a phone, $60 for a laptop, $45 for headphones, $90 for furniture, $70 for a vacation. None of these numbers may look alarming by itself, but together they total $345 every month. This is where something curious happens. We often evaluate purchases separately. The phone lives in one mental box. The sofa lives in another. The vacation lives somewhere else. Each decision feels independent, but your bank account does not care which mental box the payment came from. All of them leave the same pool of money. A dozen small commitments can quietly become one large commitment, and this is one reason installment payments can create the feeling of affordability even when the total monthly burden is becoming significant. Each purchase asks for permission individually. No single payment looks like the villain. The problem appears only when you zoom out. There is another factor, too. Installments change what we compare the price against. Suppose someone offers you a $3,000 mattress. That sounds expensive. Now suppose the salesperson says that is about $125 a month for 2 years. The reference point has changed. You are no longer comparing $3,000 to other mattresses. You may start comparing $125 to smaller monthly expenses: internet service, a gym membership, a few restaurant meals, a streaming bundle. And once a large purchase is translated into a smaller, recurring number, the product can enter a completely different category in your mind. This can go even further. Businesses sometimes translate monthly prices into weekly or daily amounts because an even smaller number feels easier to accept. A $60 monthly service becomes just $2 a day. Mathematically, nothing magical happened. The price was simply divided. But psychologically, $2 belongs to the world of tiny purchases. That makes it easier to think that's basically nothing, except it is not nothing. It is still roughly $60 every month. The unit changed. The obligation did not. And there is a subtle trap hidden here. The smaller the unit becomes, the easier it is to forget what the number represents. Imagine someone offers you a car and says, "Only $20 a day." That sounds almost casual, but your life does not usually run on isolated days. You pay for housing, food, transportation, subscriptions, insurance, utilities, and dozens of other expenses across entire months and years. So a daily number may feel easy while hiding the fact that the commitment continues again and again. The product feels cheap because your attention is focused on the slice instead of the whole cake. But installments can influence more than how cheap a product feels. They can also influence how much product you choose. Imagine you plan to buy a $900 refrigerator. Then, you see a better model for $100. A $300 difference sounds substantial. But now divide both prices into 12 payments. The first becomes $75 a month. The second becomes $100. Suddenly, the upgrade no longer feels like a $300 decision. It feels like a $25 decision. And that can completely change your reaction. It's only $25 more. Of course, it is $25 more every month for 12 months. That is exactly how the $300 difference is created. But when the difference is framed as one small monthly amount, upgrading becomes psychologically easier. Now imagine the salesperson shows you another model, only $15 more per month, then another, only $10 more. Step by step, the price can climb without ever creating one dramatic moment where you feel the full increase. This is why focusing only on monthly payments can be dangerous when comparing products. A seller does not necessarily need to make the expensive option look cheap. They only need to make the difference between options look small. And yet, there is an important distinction. A low monthly payment does not automatically mean a bad deal. Sometimes dividing the payment changes only the timing. Other times, however, the payment plan may include interest, fees, or a longer repayment period. In those cases, the monthly number can become even more misleading if it is viewed without the total. Consider two offers. One costs $2,500 paid immediately. Another costs $75 a month. At first, the second offer tells you almost nothing. For how many months? Are there additional charges? What is the total amount paid? Without those details, the monthly payment cannot tell you whether the product is cheaper, equal in price, or substantially more expensive. This is why the total matters. The installment is a budgeting number. The total is a purchasing number. You need both. And this connects directly to everyday life because installment thinking rarely stays attached to one major purchase. It can appear everywhere: phones, furniture, electronics, cars, travel, subscriptions, software, appliances. Even relatively small items can be divided into payments. And when everything becomes a monthly amount, your budget can slowly turn into a collection of promises made by your past self. Each one looked manageable when you accepted it, but future you receives them all at the same time. That is the strange thing about recurring commitments. They are easy to add one by one. They are much harder to feel as a whole. So return to that phone behind the glass. A $200 felt expensive. 12 payments of $100 felt easier. And $329 a day may have felt smaller still, but the phone never changed. What changed was the frame around the price. The full price forced you to evaluate the entire sacrifice. The installment invited you to evaluate one small piece. The future payments felt distant. Other monthly commitments were easy to ignore, and comparing a small payment with everyday expenses made the purchase seem less dramatic than comparing the total with other large financial choices. That is why paying in installments can make an expensive product seem cheap. It reduces the size of the number your attention is focused on without necessarily reducing the size of the purchase. So the next time a large price suddenly looks harmless after being divided into 12, 24, or 48 tiny pieces, look at both numbers. Ask whether the payment fits your month. Then ask whether the total purchase is actually worth it, because a price can be divided. The cost cannot disappear. If you enjoy simple explanations of the hidden forces behind everyday decisions, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Sometimes the smallest number on the price tag is the one that deserves the biggest question.